Okay, welcome to this video on APR calculations. It's a follow-on from AER calculations. So if you want a little bit more context to why we did APR and AER, then you might want to watch that video. Okay, firstly, APR stands for annual percentage rate. Okay, so banks quote APR when the account is in debt or you are loaning some money. Okay, so the balance is less than zero. Different banks work it out in different ways, or work out interest in different ways, and generally it's dependent on your repayment frequency. Okay, so you might repay the loan monthly or quarterly or annually or weekly or daily. Okay, and they will work out the interest based on your repayment period. Okay, so would you prefer a 6.12% interest rate annually with 12 monthly repayments, or would you prefer a 6.25% annually with just the one repayment? Okay, and it's really difficult to work out which one's better out of those. So that's why the bank account has to, or the loan company has to quote APR, so it's easy to compare different products. Okay, so APR allows us to compare which loan will give us the best deal, even if the banks are saying interest will be calculated on a different timescale. Right, straight into an example here. So this is an example of a loan from Barclays. As you can see down here, it's saying a 4.9% APR. This is the range of loans for this product. This is the range of years for this product. So in this particular question, we're going to look at how much you'd have to repay if you borrowed £10,000 over 3 years. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at the actual formula, which you'll see in your formula booklets. Right, I'm going to switch to pen and paper for this one. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got C. So C is the initial loan amount. So in this case, we've got £10,000. You've then got this sum here, which we came across when we did standard deviation. Now the sum is from K equals 1, so the K period is 1, up to M, which is the total number of repayment periods. Okay, so in this case, we're doing it yearly paybacks over 3 years, so M would be equal to 3. However, in this particular case, we're not considering each individual repayment, so we don't need to worry too much about the sum. We'll come to that on our third example later on. Okay, AK is the amount repaid. So if it was in separate repayments, that would be how much each instalment was worth. But as we're considering it as a whole, AK is going to be the total repayment on this one. I is the interest rate, the APR. Okay, so in this case we had the 4.9%, so we'd write that as a decimal, 0.049, and then TK is the number of repayment periods. Again, because we're considering it as a whole, we're just going to put that as 3. Okay, so let's substitute those numbers in. So our £10,000 is equal to, now we can ignore this, and then we can write our total amount to repaid. We want to know that, so I'm going to put that as X. It's 1 plus our 0.049, and that is to the power of 3, because we're going to do it in 3 annual repayments. Okay, so what we can do is we can tidy up that bottom bit a bit. We want to work out X, so we're going to multiply through by 1.049 to the power of 3. And then we could just tap that into our calculator to work out the total amount. Notice this is very much like a simple compound interest calculation type question. So our total repayment in the end will be £11,543.21. So the interest on that loan will be £1,543.21. Okay. Right, we're going to go on to a second example now. So in our second example, scenario number 2, we have a loan amount of £2,000. The total amount repaid is £3,000 and it's paid back in annual instalments over 5 years. Okay, we want to know what the APR is. Okay, so again, we've got our total amount, C, is equal to 2,000. Our amount repaid, so the A subscript K is equal to 3,000. We know what the interest rate is. Now, we don't know what the interest rate is. That's what we're trying to work out. So we'll keep that as I, but we do know that it's done annually, annual instalments over 5 years. Okay, so again, because we're only considering the whole of the repayment, we can ignore the sum value to start off with, and then I'm going to substitute the values in. So £2,000 is equal to 3,000 is the total repayment. That is over 1 plus I, which we don't know what I is, and that's over 5 years, 5 there. Okay, we can manipulate this a little bit by multiplying through by this bracket. So 2,000 times by 1 plus I to the power of 5 is equal to 3,000. I'm going to divide through by my 2,000. 3,000 divided by 2,000 is 1.5. You can obviously check that on a calculator. We're then going to get rid of this power by doing the fifth root. So I'm going to do that on my calculator here. Fifth root, so 5 goes there, of 1.5 is equal to 1.08447. Dot, 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 dot. So that's not the exact amount. And then to work out I, we're going to take away 1 from that, 0.08447. And as a percentage, I is equal to 8.45%. 3 significant figures, which is always a good significance to round it to. Okay, so that's 2 fairly simple, straightforward examples using APR, where we're just considering the whole loan amount. Right, now we're going to get on to some examples from the textbook. Okay, so example 3. You borrow £400. So C is equal to 400. From a money lender and pay it back over 5 equal monthly periods. Okay, so M is equal to 5 at an APR of 1,509%. Now that might seem like a really high percentage rate, but actually for loans which are paid back over a short period of time, that is pretty standard. They tend to be very high interest rates because the idea is that you pay them back over short periods of time. So they try to get their money's worth by putting massive percentage rates on it. Okay, so my I in this case, so to convert that into a percentage, into a decimal, divide by 100, 15.09. Okay, now the TK, now this time, because we're considering all the separate repayments, then, and we want to know how much we're going to repay monthly, then the TK is going to have a number of different values for each different repayment. Okay, so let's write it out like this. I'm going to need more space. I'm going to go down the bottom here. So 400 is equal to Well, we want the sum of the repayments. So let's do this first. 5 over 1, and the total repayment x, we want to know 1 plus 15.09, so I'm going to simplify that straight away. 0.09 to the tk, I'm going to keep it as tk there, and then we're going to do that for each repayment. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it out here, over here as the sum of each of the repayments. Okay, so the first repayment is x, which we don't know, over 16.09 to the power of, well, because it was a monthly repayment, you write this as a fraction of a year. So the first repayment is 1/12. Okay, the second repayment is after 2 months, 16.09 to the 2/12. The third repayment is after 3 months, 16.09 to the 3/12. And you keep doing that for each repayment. Okay, so you've got 5 repayments there. Now obviously you've got 5 different x values there, so we can reduce that to just the one x value by factorising. So you've got 1, there's 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, 5/12. I'm now going to calculate that on my calculator, so you're literally going to have to type all that in. It is a little bit time consuming, this, particularly when you've got 5 payments or more payments. So 16.09 to the power of 1. And close those brackets and work it out, and it comes out with a nice decimal like that. So my x times by 2.63235 dot 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 dot. Okay, so then to work out x, you're going to do 400 divided by that amount. Now obviously when you use your calculator, you use your answer button. And that gives you your monthly repayment of £151 and rounded to 96 pence. Okay, so that's example 3, and you can find that in the textbook on page 66, example 22. Okay, so the fourth and final example today's APR video is also in the textbook, just below that one, example 23 on the same page. And this time we want to find the amount of the loan if there are 3 annual payments of £500 at an APR of 25%. Okay, so we want to find the total. C. We have 3 repayments. We know £500 is the repayment amount each time. Our percentage rate is 0.25. So if I add that to 1, it's 1.25. And we're going to do that for each of the repayment periods. That's T subscript K. Okay, so writing this out in full. So you've got 500 over 1.25. Now this time it's 3 annual repayments. So the first one would be 1 year. Second one would be 2 years. And the third one would be 3 years. And by typing that into our calculator, we should get, bring it down here so you can see, 500 25 to the power of 1, so I don't need to put power in. And this is to the power of 2. That should give us a total of 976, which is the total amount to be repaid. Okay, so in this particular case, 25% annual interest, you would actually pay almost double the original £500, £476 interest. Okay, so that's all the examples. So let's just take it back to the PowerPoint for the final instructions. So we've done all that. Okay, the third example, fourth example. So now we've done those examples, you can obviously go back and pause the videos for each one and make notes as you wish. And then I would like you to have a go at this exercise 2K, which is also in the textbooks on page on page 67. The textbook exercise 2K. You've got 5 questions there to do. So once you've done them, the answers are in the back of the textbook if you've got it. Otherwise, there are your answers. Okay, that's it for APR.